It is a cold and gloomy day here in California, so I decided let's talk about something that warms up my insides. Books. Hello everyone, welcome to whatever this video is going to become. My name is Rena, and today we're going to be talking about my May TBR. Yay! So if you know me in person or follow me on TikTok, you know I've been trying to do 10 books off of my TBR each month. That is because I have two, simultaneous quests going on right now in my brain. One of them is one of my goals by December is to completely empty my TBR jar, which for me is in the shape of a teapot, so I call them my teapot pulls. And there are 300 books in there. Some of them I've already read, it's just they haven't come out, but I want to empty that. And on top of that, despite my best efforts, I've also somehow gotten a very large physical TBR. And I'm trying to clear that out too. Basically the way it works is the 10 books are my priority reads for the month. And after I read that, I can mood read. But I gotta get through these first. So we're gonna go through them and see what we're reading this month. Yay. So because I made some unauthorized book transactions, I'm in book debt, so I may not buy books until I've cleared my book debt. Basically the way it works is every 3 books I read, I get 1 book credit, and then for every 6 volumes of manga, I get 1 book credit. So yeah, I'm at -11. This only makes sense in my head. I realize that I sound crazy, but know that this makes sense to me. So it's a mixture of both library books and things from my backstock of stuff. So the first book I'm going to be talking about is The Berry Pickers by Amanda Peters. Today is May 3rd, and I'm already 175 pages through this book. It basically follows an indigenous family who is from Nova Scotia, but during, I believe, the summer, they go to Maine to pick blueberries, and during one of the summers, their youngest daughter goes missing, and the book follows the youngest daughter who got taken and the youngest son as the family deals with the aftermath of it. It's a pretty good book. It's just, so sometimes I'm reminded of why I don't really enjoy lit fic. I tend to find it really boring, and unfortunately that's just kind of falling in this category. I do see myself finishing it, but I'm not enjoying it, but I'm also not having the best time. The next book that I plan on reading for the month is The Daughter of Dr. Moreau by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I've read multiple books by her, and it's kind of a mixed bag whether I'm going to enjoy it. I completely forgot what this one is about. I'm really curious though, because my library has put a science fiction tag on it. I think previously I read Mexican Gothic. We're gonna see how this goes. So this month I will also be starting a new manga series, and that is Fairy Tail. This is volume 1. I got them from my library. My library has all of them. I'm a huge fan of Fairy Tail. It was one of my first animes ever. I'm starting to read them because there's going to be new material out for the 20th anniversary that they just announced, and I'm really curious in reading that, but to do that I have to be caught up. So, starting that. So the next 2 books I'm going to be talking about are actually leftovers from last month's TBR. I think I would have gotten to them if I had chosen to DNF One Dark Window, but I didn't. If you want to see a video of all my complaints with that, that's the last video on my channel, so you can go ahead and check that out. So the next book is Anna Maria and the Fox by Liana De La Rosa. This is the first book in a romance series. I completely forgot what it's about, but I'm going to have a good time. So starting a new series is always really exciting for me because there's one thing you need to know. I kind of really love numbers. I hate doing math, but I love seeing numbers and charts and stuff. And when I add books to my electronic TBR, I always add the entire series because before I add it, I'm always considering how much of a time commitment is adding this new series going to take, basically. And whenever I get to a first book of a new series and I don't like it, I get to take the whole series off, and it just makes the number go down so much faster, and I don't know, I find great enjoyment in that. I'm also a completionist at video games, so don't ask me about how much time I've spent getting 100% exploration in Genshin Impact. Just don't. It's safer for both of us. Up next is my other repeat from last month, and that's The Grandest Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I don't know what is up with my brain. It just really likes the Inheritance games. It's one of those series where I'm not gonna say it's not anything special, because I do really, you know what, I think that's what it is. I really enjoy the way the characters are written, and though it's kind of, some of the drama they go through is kind of annoying, I feel like they're real characters, and I feel that with YA as it stands, finding fully fledged characters right now is so difficult, especially fully fledged characters with interesting backstories that actually make actions that make sense with what's going on, because I know a lot of people's complaints with YA is as adults, they cannot go back and see why they're making those decisions because they're oh, you're just being stupid. Versus I don't really mind that as long as what we know about that character lines up with their decision. And I feel like that's been missing in the YA space for like a while now. And I feel like this series does a good job of, even though some of the decisions they're making are kind of annoying, they make sense with what each character has gone through. And yeah, I also love the fact that in the second half of the series, the ships that got together during the first half of the series are still together. Like, they did not just break them up for funsies. Like, we get to just enjoy content of our ships. Yeah, I started reading these in high school, and I have graduated since college? Till college. Then after that, I have volume 2 of Fairy Tale. Next up, we have a book I actually started a while back, but just decided my brain wasn't ready to read it properly, and that is A Letter to the Luminous Deep by Sylvie Catherall. I remember thinking I was gonna really enjoy this book, but I wanted to read it sometime closer to the summer because I was like in the dead of winter, and I love oceany stuff in the summer, which is actually, if you know me, I hate the beach, I hate sand, I hate water. I had a nightmare the other day that I was telling Cynthia about where I was like in this pool of stingrays, and like I was in a wet bathing suit, I was in this pool, and there were stingrays swimming around me. It was a whole ordeal. But this book is really cool because the whole story is told in a series of letters between these two people, and they're trying to figure out, I'm not sure what they're trying to figure out yet. I really got like 20 pages in and was like, this is gonna be a really good time, but not right now. And I think it's right now time. So I'm really excited. I've only heard good things about this, so yay. Next up, we have The Things We Hide from the Light from Lucy Score. I got this at a used bookstore. This whole series was a whole ordeal because I pulled the slip for the first book of this series, but my brain, so the way they're in my teapot is like, if it's a series, it just says +1 series name. And I was so sure I knew what the first book in the series was. And I went to the used bookstore and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I bought it and I was like, damn, this isn't the first book. And then later that day, I was at a different used bookstore with my friends, and I was like, oh, here's the first one. I literally just checked earlier. I'm so sure. And turns out I bought book 2 and book 3. This is book 2. So I eventually found book 1 and I read it, but this is book 2. In the town, it's been a hot second since I read that first one, so I don't actually remember what town this is. I'm sure I'll remember once I start reading it. But I remembered having a good time with this author's writing, so yeah. Then we have volume 3 of Fairy Tale. Dude, Gray and Urza look so cool. They look so different in the anime. So this is definitely where we're getting into. I had to fill in 10 books, but I wasn't allowed to buy anything. So I took it from my physical TBR backstock. And so last month I read The Kiss Quotient. Cynthia and I were reading it together, and I really enjoyed it, which worked out because for some reason my brain decided to buy the entire series before I had read the first book. Will I ever learn my lesson? Apparently not. Luckily I enjoyed it, so I'm going to be reading The Bride Test by Helen Huang this month, and I'm really interested. I really liked this character. He was a very, very small side character, but I did like him in The Kiss Quotient. So yeah, I got this from a used bookstore. So I think that's another reason I need to stop going to the used bookstores unless I have a specific book I'm going for, which just sounds wrong because like typically when you're going to a used bookstore, you're more limited to what you can buy. But I cannot go. It's like my brain, if I go, my brain's like, it's not gonna be here when you get back. You need to buy it right now. And it's like, no, we don't. We're gonna be so fine. We literally have so many other books. Which reminds me that I was just in Barnes & Noble yesterday. And I was just thinking about how like as a kid, it was always so exciting to go to Barnes because like I genuinely had reread everything in my possession because like, I don't know, with my allowance, I could only buy like one book maybe every 3 to 4 months if I got lucky, especially like kids books that were priced much cheaper than the $20 to $35 to $40 books they now sell. So it was always really exciting to go to the bookstore, and I just remember being super excited. And now I just feel like instead I'm overwhelmed because I have so much to read, and I just like, it's not the same experience. And I would like to get back to that place where it just like I don't feel like I have so much stuff that I need to get to before I feel good about buying a book. So that is why we're working so hard to get through this backstock, because I don't want to have a backstock. Another one of my goals this year is also I don't plan on moving anytime soon just because the economy. But I would like to get to a place where like if for some reason an opportunity comes that like I can move, I want it to be relatively easy. I cannot do that with 150 books that I have not read that I'm not willing to get rid of because I haven't read them and I don't know if they're going to be good or not. I still am going to have a lot of books if I take care of those 150 books, but it's going to be 150 less books, which I totally believe I can read this year, even though it's already May. I'm currently sitting at like about 100 books for the year. I know, what can I say? Sorry, that was a lot of yapping. Anyway, back to the point. Book number 8 is the Apothecary Diaries Volume 1 light novel. I need the show immediately, so I've decided to start reading the light novels. I have some of the manga, but because manga takes a little bit longer to come out, I looked at like what volume was out, and it's still covering stuff that's been covered by the show. So I was like, it's fine, I'll switch to the light novels. I've just heard some crazy things about the light novels, and I was like, so if you've not heard of the Apothecary Diaries, we basically follow Mao, who it's set in a not very distinct time period of ancient China, and she basically is kidnapped and working in the rear palace, which is basically where all the concubines for the emperor live, and she's working as a servant until one day people realize, oh, she actually knows all this apothecary and doctor-y stuff because she grew up under an apothecary in the pleasure district of the city, and it's all the shenanigans when she becomes too important at work and pulls attention from high people in important people in high places. Next, I will be also starting another new manga series this month. Again, it's from my library, so they have the whole thing, and I will be starting Inuyasha. I watched this anime a long time ago, and I don't think I finished it, but I'm learning that I can't, once I've started an anime and I've like given up, I have to read the manga because I don't have the patience to sit through the show. So, we're starting that. So the next thing is actually something I don't have yet, and that is The Will of the Many by James Islington. My library has this. I have it on hold. That's typically I put library books towards the beginning of the month so I can return them as soon as possible, but given that I put the hold in about a week ago, just the person who was borrowing it was in front of me, it's typically about 2 to 3 weeks, so I'll probably get it around the time it's the end of the month. Yeah, I'm waiting for that. That's why the slip of paper that is in there. And then book 10 for the month, because I finished Keeper of the Lost Cities Legacy last month, I get to move on to Keeper of the Lost Cities Unlocked. This is a reread for me. This is book 8.5 in a 9.5 book having series. Yeah, and I did the calculations. So if I read 1 volume of Keeper of the Lost Cities per month, so I have 3 books left in this reread, and then because book 10 comes out, I'm going to start my reread again. I know I'm crazy, okay? Shh. I'm aware. To do that, I actually do have to read and finish 1 Keeper of the Lost Cities book a month to make it in time, because so book 9 and 9.5, I have gotten spoilers because it's taken me so long to get to them. I have not read 9.5 yet, which is from Cave's perspective, and I got a spoiler literally yesterday. Literally yesterday. This book has been out for like 2 years, and I've avoided spoilers, and then yesterday I got one. I was like, oh. But it's something I'm excited about, so I was like, yeah. And I swear if something like that happens before I read book 10, I am actually going to cry. Because what do you mean? It's like, I don't know, I've been invested in the series for like 12, 13 years, and if you spoil something for me when I get to the final book of the series that I've been waiting 13 years for, I am actually going to dropkick someone. Crawl through the internet and dropkick you. That did not make any sense, but yeah, 8.5, once I get to it, I feel like it'll go relatively quickly. If you see like these blue lines, it's because there's like short stories and like maps and things that are like kind of important. There's like recipes in here, and then like this back chunk is actually the story that's like important. Yeah, and oh man, I love this series so much. I forgot, so because of how horrendous reading One Dark Window went last month, I was like, I hate reading. I don't know why I've gaslit myself to believe I like reading. And then I read Legacy and I was like, I was giggling, I was kicking my feet, I was having such a good time. Yeah. Yeah, and then I got to Berry Pickers and I was like, oh, maybe I do hate reading. Yep. Anyway, I have 1 more volume, and that's the last thing that I'm planning on reading for the month is volume 2 of Inuyasha. Yeah, that's why I feel like the manga is like not really exciting. I know it makes sense in my pattern to end off with manga, but like it also is not very exciting to announce in a video because like it's the same thing. And then I forgot what that series is about, so I can't actually. If you made it this far, you made it to the end of the video. Yay. I'm hoping this video isn't too long. I am working on not having podcast length videos every single time I make them because I really truly do not enjoy editing them. But yeah, what are you reading this month? Let me know. I will love to know what other people are reading. Just because I'm also trying not to look online about new things and like new releases unless it's like specific series like Keeper of the Lost Cities or Shadowhunters, because I do not want to grow my electronic TBR or my physical TBR faster than it's already going. So yeah, if you have something good that you think I'll like, let me know in the comments. Also, liking and subscribing helps a lot. Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Okay, bye!